En internet abundan las teorías conspirativas y recientemente se reflotó la historia del gigante de Kandahar, uno de los mejores relatos que dio la red y que, aún hoy, mucha gente considera real. Según los relatos de un militar identificado como MRK, una criatura de más de 4 metros de altura fue asesinada por un escuadrón especial en Afganistán. La historia del gigante de Kandahar tiene lugar entre el año 2002 y 2008 en Afganistán. En ese lugar, se le encomienda la misión de investigar la desaparición de un escuadrón AMRK y su equipo. Se dispusieron a entrar en la montaña de Kandahar para buscar a un grupo de soldados con los que se había perdido contacto desde hace días. Al comenzar a subir, el grupo de soldados empezó a ver pedazos de equipamiento del ejército de Estados Unidos tirada y destrozada por el camino y huesos que no pudieron identificar. La teoría continúa contando que al llegar a la entrada de una cueva en la montaña, los militares se pusieron en una posición defensiva esperando una emboscada talibán. Lo que no esperaban era que una lanza volara desde adentro de la caverna y atravesara a uno de ellos. MRK contó afligido que su compañero murió de forma instantánea y que nada pudieron hacer. Al girar hacia la caverna vieron salir de ahí a un ser de más de 4 metros de altura, con una larga cabellera roja y barba abundante que cargaba en velocidad contra ellos. Vamos con el video.
Richard Shaw also has done a myriad of radio and TV interviews on topics ranging from the Torah codes to UFOs. On one of those interviews, he spoke with a caller who was in special forces in Afghanistan back in 2002. After the show, they talked for a long time, and it became clear that this was one of the men that actually shot and killed the giant. Then later, LA happened to meet another Special Forces soldier who could confirm these stories. Neither of these men wished to reveal their identity. We filmed them in remote locations because of their military backgrounds and the sensitive nature of what they're revealing. But both felt it was imperative to finally tell the truth.
You were in Afghanistan in 2002, and you were called into a very remote section of Afghanistan because a patrol had basically gone missing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. No villages around, nothing.
For miles.
Right.
So very remote.
Yeah, very remote. So we flew in. About 4 kilometers. We're hiking to the same area where they were supposed to make one of their checkpoints, one of their rally points. And before we'd left, there was all kinds of what happened with the ambush. But that was even odd because at the point of ambush, you would call for maybe close air support, something. Okay. There was no calls made, just off the bridge. So we're coming down a mountainside, and it was a nice path, goat path. As we bent around this corner, you could see this opening of the cave. There's a cave as we're coming around. And then I see there's a lot of rocks, which is another oddity, and then bone matter. I'm not close enough to identify what kind of bones, but I did see something I knew was a piece of our communications equipment. So instantly, we're thinking ambush, maybe animal, it could be anything. And there was enough room in front of this cave, but it had a sheer drop off. But there was enough room that we actually got into a decent dispersal in case of ambush.
You see something coming out of the cave, and it's moving with a speed and agility that catches you off guard. Everybody.
And he comes out. It was a man at least 12 to 15 feet in height. This is a monster. Red beard, then his hair was longish past the shoulder, a scarlet red, and Dan runs at him and starts shooting, which broke all of us into the reality. Because it was so real.
Now your training is kicking.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Muscle memory, that complete muscle memory. While Dan is moving at him, another bro of mine's laying down fire and I start firing. He skewers Dan. He's now got him on this pike. It went through him. He's still got him, and he's coming after more. We all just clicked in. I don't know what it was, but I remember we're all like, shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. Our weapons components were in force. We had 308s, and we had Barrett 50s. This is sounding longer than it took. We're talking 30 seconds. And he's taking multiple hits, and is still moving.
And people have a right to know about this stuff. I mean, if there are 15-footers or 18-footers roaming the planet, and our military has brought them down, I mean, we have a right as American citizens. I mean, this isn't classified military stuff. This is something that we need to know, and it points back to the biblical prophetic narrative. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, here's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is if it points that the Bible's accurate, they don't want it. If it goes against Darwinian evolution, it's not to be spoken of.
So you're out in the boonies running around looking for high-value targets?
Correct. Okay. And we're doing those operations, and as we're getting into firefights, we're getting into different scrimmages, you want to put it that way, we would come back to the base, and we started hearing this rumor about a unit that killed this, what they started calling this really tall person. At first I didn't think anything of it, and then come to find out that the person that they killed actually was 3 times the size of a man, had extra digits on their hand and digits on their feet, and had red hair, and a special unit had come in and wanted this target. Well, we'd heard that they had killed this thing inside a cave, or the mouth of a cave, and it was common knowledge among the military to hear this.
And when you say common knowledge, what do you mean? I mean, how does that work?
Years later, to come to find out, when I had returned from Afghanistan and had met other military members that had not been there in the operations with me, if you would bring up the Gigante of Kandahar, they knew about it. When you first hear it, you're thinking like, this has got to be a joke. This has got to be a hoax. But then after things go down a certain way and you keep hearing it, you start to realize it's not a joke.
Our contact said 2002 is when they shot this 15-footer or taller, and you're now in this, you know, in the service around 2005. This word has gotten out, and what I find interesting here too is that if you're going to create a hoax, I get that, but you got details: 6 fingers, red hair, double rows of teeth, 6 digits on the toes, and of course that brings it right back into what we hear about in the biblical prophetic narrative, specifically the Nephilim. Your thoughts?
I agree.
And you have to assume that the giant is not alone, that the giant is not the only being living on this planet. There's got to be a whole school of them somewhere. You know, maybe he's got a female mate, maybe he's got children, who knows. Unfortunate that he had to attack our soldiers rather than be somewhat peaceful, but I guess that comes with the territory.
Dan was dead. Okay. And why is a good man, probably one of the best men I know, now dead. Before I'd left, they were already starting what they call a 9-line, which is a medevac request. They're sending out a medevac request, then all of a sudden it's not a medevac request. All of a sudden we had a helicopter show up because, like I told you, it was a large precipice and a sheer drop. So the helicopter just came up from the drop. They had dropped netting. And so we got him on there. The thing was too big. We couldn't move it. It smelled worse than a skunk. A corpse that's been around for a while. Once the helicopter came in, dropped its little hook, and off he goes. The communication was sent out that we had a very large possible human creature.
There you are in the hills of Afghanistan. How many troop members are you with?
We had 6 on my crew. And when we say hills of Afghanistan, for us, we did not fly into the wilderness. We actually flew into a base. I guess this thing was transloaded out of the mountains by a CH-47. What I could see that it did have the 6 fingers. I remember taking my foot up and placing it up next to its foot, and it was extremely large. We estimated at about 12 feet, give or take. What I can tell you is the weight of the thing. Basically, it was approximately 1,500 pounds when it was getting on the aircraft. Now, if you take away the pallet weight and all the rigging that we had to hold this thing down, we figured it was around 1,100 pounds.
Of course we're upset. That's a given, okay? We lost a very good guy. But add to that, you're discussing something that even in our after-action report, they're saying rewrite it. And we had to rewrite it the way they wanted.
How many fingers?
6
Six fingers and 6 toes.